Good evening, sir, and welcome to the MedicinMan Pharma CEO Roundtable, of which you have been a part of from the very first Pharma CEO Roundtable in 2012. So this time we are having a hybrid model. So this is what we are doing this year is that on the 1st of March, we are meeting at 7 p.m. and Vikas Dandekar, who is a veteran journalist and currently heading the editor of the Pharma and Healthcare at ET Prime, and Sumit Chamna, who's a consulting partner at EY Life Sciences, will be the keynote speakers. And so we've had so far about 4 interviews with CEOs in the virtual world, and that will be supplemented by this physical event on the 1st of March 2023. And thank you for all the support that you've given us. And I look forward to interacting with you on the virtual world in the form of few questions. So the first question, sir, is that pharma has been aggressive in the digitization of its back-end operations, but has somehow ignored the customer-facing side of its business. Pharma companies are making attempts, but not very serious ones. As a veteran CEO who has led MNC for 12 years at Galderma, whatever you have to say will be of much value to our audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Anup. I think it's a great pleasure again to be, doing this interaction on behalf of MedicinMan. And it's certainly been a very long journey, and I'm very glad that the way you have allowed it to evolve. And I think, we are moving probably very clearly to the next level. And I think we have already started doing it during the COVID days, but it's certainly now moving on to a more focused next level. That's what I would say. So coming to the question, that you have asked, I think there is one thing that I must say, and I'm probably putting first, the point that the vast majority of the customer-facing end are new opportunities for pharma still. That's what, I would like to say. And it is a trend, that did not start, very recently, but one that has accelerated in this unexpected and complicated period. That is COVID and post-COVID, with all the challenges that we have. There's only one concern, that I have in this particular area, and this is something typical of pharma. That's why I'm sharing this as a concern. Just because now the face-to-face customer visits have started, I would like to give a warning. This acceleration will not end as the urgency wears off. That is what, we must understand. So it has to be ongoing. It has to move forward, and the path of digitization in the pharmaceutical sector must therefore look at the present, but also at the medium and long term. That's what is very, very important according to me. Now, we keep using this word quite often, digital transformation. I think, this was a very apt statement that we made, when we started during the COVID times, journey. I would probably like to today look at, can we move into the next level, which I call as digital maturity. That's what I would like to look at. And probably this makes sense because this refers to the implementation of all the changes in a profound and lasting way. That's what is important. It should not be something that is cut-paste. It should not be something that is quick fix. And such an implementation, in my opinion, must be very conscious, not improvised, and it must be one that produces not only an increase in efficiency or a decrease in cost, but that causes a real change in the mentality. That's what I would like to mention very, very clear. Now, all of this, in my opinion, should translate into an attitude of openness, which I still see, we are missing in our industry, because the digital revolution is not something that has happened, but something that is continuing to happen. That's very, very important according to me. Now, only those who remain receptive and responsive can reap the benefits before others gaining a competitive advantage. So there should be a lot of first mover efforts, first movers efforts that have got to be made. Now, if we look at, for a company in any sector for that matter, embracing, mature digitization means implementing a paradigm shift. I think this is one area where we still seem to have a lot of work in progress or really work to do, because we are yet to really get into that so-called, paradigm shift. Now, we must also understand one thing, that the training, involvement and loyalty of companies' own employees, collaborators and suppliers must not be underestimated when we have got to do this kind of a digital maturity or the digital, transformation that we are talking about. This would be my take on this, Anup.
Great. So that's wonderful points that you made, it's the mentality that matters, because the digital requires a different mentality. It requires a mentality of openness, which is not so very easy to find in pharma companies. And more importantly, to understand that digital is not something in the past, it is something that is happening and continues to happen in disrupting various sectors. And therefore, pharma has to have the right mindset and the openness and the willingness to experiment and fail. More importantly, training of all stakeholders, whether it be the front end or the back end, or whether it's the partners or suppliers, vendors, everybody would require a certain amount of training to understand how to use this digital and the opportunities that it offers to make an impact in the business place.
Yeah, I would also like to add one more, Anup, before I go to the next question. There's still seem to be somewhere, a certain amount of fear that is lurking in the minds that digital will replace, the physical. It's not going to happen, and it has not happened anywhere else in the world. That's what we need to understand. Hence, the physical side, according to me, is very important, and the digital being an enabler will only complement and integrate all of these.
Fair point. I agree with you, sir, because I've been a customer of HDFC Bank since 30 years now. I have not seen the number of their branches reducing, physical branches, although I never go there. But their number of physical branches has grown many-fold, and it continues to grow. I met the manager because of some work that I had, and he says that we are continuing to look for large premises. Only he says that there are more technical people now working among our staff because we offer, service at your mobile tip, if I can say, and that requires technical competence. So at the CEO Forum, we hope to begin the conversation on digital adoption among CEOs who are key to transformation in their organization. As an experienced former managing director yourself, are there any words of advice you have for them?
Advice? No. I would say that suggestions and food for thought, yes. The reason being that the current CEOs who are going to be participating in this program, along with us, they are all CEOs who are the current generation, and they are into operations, and probably they have a greater understanding of what is being done, what needs to be done in this front, because they are the ones who are really going to be working on the strategies, the future vision, mission, the business models, everything put together. Now, one thing we need to understand, I think all of us are aware of it today that we are talking about. It's no more, the question of just trying to push the pill. I think that's very, very clear for us. Therefore, some of the trends, that could be reshaping our healthcare, if I put it at large, I would say is that the outcome-based care is moving to center stage now. It's no more, just talking about, anything else, or the symptomatic approach that we are talking about. Now, we must also be well aware of the fact and recognize that patients are becoming more engaged today, and there are also new competitors moving in. We need to be aware in different ways. Despite the fact that there are a lot of controversies, that are being thrown out today about e-pharmacies, I would say that the regulators will definitely address this appropriately, and this would be the model that would continue to exist. And how much it is going to grow is something, that one will have to look at. But there is definitely an opportunity, for this segment, to grow. We must also understand one thing, that there is more information is available in terms of product performance at the fingertips that are there today. Process efficiency and agility is improving dramatically. Now, 3 strategic directions I believe that pharma companies should take to overcome these obstacles and probably start a path that will capture value from digital. The first one I say is focus on 1 or 2 flagship initiatives. You don't have to do en masse everything. You need to focus on flagship initiatives. The choice of flagship initiatives, according to me, needs to be based on the company's product pipeline, right? The strategy that they would like to have, the portfolio, and therefore the whole business model, that they would like to, evolve. That's where it comes. So what we need to therefore understand very clearly is we need to run collaborative experiments and then scale what works. That's important. The third aspect, which I have been repeatedly mentioning is develop the organization for new business models. So very important for us that the business models will have to change. You cannot fit this into day before yesterday's business model that you are continuing to operate today. So this would be my, take that I would like to give. And a better understanding, I would say, of what digital success looks like will help companies get to their destination, improved innovation and commercial models for pharma companies, and better care for patients ultimately. And that's what all pharma companies are really working for and should be working for.
Great. So what you're saying is that a fundamental shift in the mindset that you require is that this is an enabler. It is not one more commodity, and companies should not be asking what is it that you have got to offer, but rather ask the question as to these are the challenges that we are facing in having better engagement with customers. How can digital help in meeting these customer needs, in a more meaningful way, rather than the way that we have been doing for so long, which has proven itself to be ineffective. And digital needs to be seen, according to you, as finally impacting the patient, because pharma is going far beyond pills. It is all about patients and ultimately how much of benefit they are getting in terms of recovering from their sicknesses, how quickly they can get over it, and how well they can feel and become productive in their work and in their lives. So, final question to you, sir. You have been the chief mentor of MedicinMan for 12 years and helped us evolve in this journey of being thought leaders for the Indian pharma industry. At the moment, we are focusing on helping pharma professionals make sense of digital. So what words of advice will you give to the young managers in this new world? Because they need to understand, as you rightly said, that the world has changed, and therefore, what changes do the young brand managers need to make?
It's a very relevant and a good question, Anup. I think one point, we must remember, and I think we keep talking about this everywhere. Take today the scenario that we are sitting in and the ecosystem, that is operating, around us. From education to lunch ordering, right? From work to dating. Talking about digital has changed these few years. Everything is online. Now, our entire social network has transformed to such depths that it will be a long time to assess its effects actually. But one can see, the trend emerging very, very clearly. That's moving towards that direction. And the operation of entire industries have also changed to a large extent. And of course, healthcare is no exception. Let's accept that as a fact. And we should not make it an exception according to me. And particularly even within healthcare, I would say that pharma, all the more important that it should not make it as an exception. And although we have heard of digital transformation in medicine for years now, what exactly it covers still, according to me, remains very unclear. So first thing is there is still lack of clarity in this particular area because we are not embracing a model that has got to be different, that will help in terms of using digital as an enabler from end to end. That's one confusion that we have. So we need to bring in clarity in that particular area. So if I ask the pharma managers a couple of questions, what do pharma managers mean when they talk about digital transformation? The basic fundamental question that we have. Would they mean that pharma representatives go to see doctors, with the so-called, tablets, the paper on the glass? Are we talking about that? Are we also talking about, therefore, sending information through a digital channel? What are we talking about? Would they mean all pharma employees should use a health tech that we are talking about, that the consumers are going to use in the form of some apps and other things, etc., to better understand what they are going through, particularly those, who have lifestyle, diseases that are existing or non-communicable diseases. And of course, today you have things like health sensor, smartwatch, etc., that are there, helping in terms of trying to guide us, to have a better, healthier life. Now, would they also mean all elements of supply chain that they are talking about to be accessed, verified, and analyzed as digital data? Though it is existing today. I think it is existing, it is well entrenched into the whole thing. Or do they mean about the purchase of drugs that they are talking about? And therefore, using, that part of it to track the data, that is there and make better decisions with algorithms right from drug design, that we are talking about. So, we are still not very clear as to what is it that we really want to do. This is where I'm saying it's got to be a top to bottom exercise, right? Embracing all segments, of the business model that is existing, or will be there, in order to make this digital transformation. If you only talk about, one particular area, yes, you could do it as a pilot model, but that is not going to suffice according to me. It's got to embrace the whole organization. Only then we will really be talking about digital transformation, or what you are talking in terms of the digital maturity, that we are talking about today. That's the only way, we will be able to really make a real impact, when it comes to the patient's life.
Great. That's wonderful way you have put it in, that it's not one end of the business that you have to bring in a digital transformation, like some CEOs talk at the back end. Pharma might have been very successful in implementing elements of digital to increase the productivity, but they have been laggards when it comes to customer-facing efforts. But what you are saying is that it's not just changing bits and pieces, but it is changing the entire way of doing business. In fact, I would rather say it's not digital transformation, but transformation of your entire business, like the banking industry has done.
Absolutely.
We don't need to go to the banks anymore. Like the grocery industry has done, we don't need to go to the grocery shop anymore. Blinkit actually now delivers in 8 to 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
So this is the power of the digital that is available to pharma, but they have to tell what are the challenges that they face and how these challenges can be addressed through the digital tools, either in a combination like we are doing today. Though you are not able to come for the first program, you are able to give your message even in a more effective and more elucidated way through the digital medium. That is because MedicinMan has accepted that the way we are going to function is through the digital platforms and the social media to build this thought leadership forum. So thank you very much, sir. I wish you a good evening.
Thank you, Anup. I think it was a pleasure, talking to you, and I'm sure, you would have greater amount of inputs and interaction, with the CEOs who are going to be present there physically. All the best for first. Thanks for this great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.